Now you may not be a Snyder fan, and God knows some days I can't stand that man. But you may be wondering, should I watch this? Well, should you? It's kinda cool, it's kinda great, it's kinda long, but hey, it's okay. The important part is that it's finally over. Yes, it's over. Yes, it's over. From 2017, it's finally over. This, I got this in 2017. Wonder Woman had come out. It came out, what was it, June, and we were ready. We were ready for Justice League. We were ready to have our minds blown. We were ready. And then so many things happened, and so many stories started to unfold. And I just wanted this whole thing to be over and done with.
Fighting the devil and his army. You know, I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells. He's never fought us united.
It's time to stand, fight. The time is now.
I've had mixed feelings when it comes to Zack Snyder. And I mean, just in terms of maybe how he handles the DC. We're not going to talk about 300 and all the other stuff that he's made. I love 300. I remember 300. I remember being in the cinema where, well, I guess we're going to talk about it. Being in the cinema. I know which cinema I went to see it. I remember how I felt. I know who was there with me when it happened, who dragged me to go see it, and I ended up loving it. But his work in the DC film universe has been a bit of a mixed bag for me. Man of Steel for me was brilliant, coupled of course with Hans Zimmer's score. Even the idea of Superman killing Zod at the end, I was fine with that. Because for me, even though Superman does not kill, what I liked about it, it was the idea of here's a modern reason why he doesn't kill. The idea that we've had growing up in the 70s, well, I wasn't in the 70s, but the idea that we had growing up was, okay, so Superman's fathers were like, do not kill. And so he lived with that, I don't kill, life is important, I don't kill. Which is good, which is very good. But I sort of appreciated the idea that having taken a life, and like the life of somebody who is the last of his kind, to protect an entire civilization, that kind of puts him in a mental space of I am never killing again. And so for me, moving forward, I was really happy about that. And then Batman vs. Superman came out, and it was weird, because like it felt choppy. It felt like there were too many things that wasn't gelling for me. It also felt like if there were way too many comic book ideas being pushed into it. Too many things were happening. I do, however, defend it because I can rationalize it. I can rationalize where, at least in my brain, where I think it goes. Though I will put this out there. The thing that really aggravates me about Batman versus Superman, I think, is the Batmanification of Superman. So for me, when Superman comes out and says things like, I guess nobody stays good in this world, like you're supposed to be that guy. So no matter how much he struggled, and yes, I know in the 70s Superman, went all split and was drinking and knocking it all back. But the idea of, I guess nobody stays good in this world, really peeved me more than Save Martha. So right there, I have two conflicting feelings about Zack Snyder's work in the DC universe. When I hear reports of him saying things along the lines of, he couldn't really get into superheroes because they weren't cussing or having sex. And I think, yeah, that's what superheroes are about, really, just, cussing and having sex. What we really need is for our main superheroes, these gods, to basically be the boys. That's what we need. I was like, I don't particularly need this from you, guy who gave me theatrical cut of Batman versus Superman that I don't understand. No. But he also gave me Aquaman, and he gave me Wonder Woman, and he gave me Superman. He gave me Henry Cavill. Like, dude, your casting decisions are on point. So I'm like, how do I rationalize this? I went into the 2017 Justice League really excited about the notion of Justice League. Like I had said before, Wonder Woman had come out and it gave me so much joy. I am ready now for Justice League. In my mind, it was like, at worst, it's too dark and brooding and ridiculous, and it wraps up his franchise, and then we can more or less start all over again. At best, it opens up the door to showing us new and brave possibilities for it. Because if it's one thing you have to give DC credit for, is that DC takes risks. DC takes risks that may be messy, it might be out there for some people, it's not wrapped up in a nice little bow and say, oh, here you go. But they take the risk and say, Warner Brothers says, okay, go ahead, do that. So I was ready for it. There are things within the 2017 film that I liked. I really liked, like that scene with Arthur, sitting on Diana's lasso of truth and just spilling his guts. That is cool. Every year that this kept going on, I was like, oh God, can this not be over? And then everybody's screaming, release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut. I'm like, you know what? I just want this over and done with. And then HBO Max, as a streaming service, comes on board. I get to see this film. And you know what? I actually like this film. You know what I love to see about it? Like, it felt whole. It felt like a real whole thing. The Snyder Cut version of the Justice League is very operatic. Yes, I think there are some sequences that are too long. Like if you're gonna, film this cup, I don't necessarily need 2 minutes and the music swells as we go into the cup like so all the time. So for me, instead of it being 4 hours, this could have been, with a slight tweaking and cutting and that kind of stuff, about 3 hours and 20 minutes. However, I will also acquiesce to the 4 hour scene because I grew up in the Caribbean, and every Sunday I had a Bollywood film that we would watch on TTT, Trinidad and Tobago Television, and Bollywood films are not 90 minutes. This 90-minute narrative that the US gives us with the superhero movies and stuff like that, no. So I grew up watching that and Ten Commandments. I know about long films, but it still felt long. Again, it's an opera. The things that we saw in the trailers in 2017 that was never in the cut, it's there. 2017 Justice League, Steppenwolf's motivations were the mother boxes has awakened, and it's like, mother has called. If you don't know what a mother box is, there are mother boxes and there are father boxes, and Please Google it so that you can know what it is, so you can carry on a conversation with a nerd who starts talking about mother boxes and father boxes. There's a reason why Stephen Wolf is so hungry to get these mother boxes. It's not just for Darkseid. There is some actual personal motivations that he has. And this whole thing about being wrapped up on mother and mother is calling and where is mother and give me mother. It no. There's an entire story for Cyborg. There is an entire story for Cyborg. I want you to understand this. There was an entire story for Cyborg. You mean to tell me that so much cutting of Cyborg's story went on the floor that it wasn't possible to show us at least the car crash and the events that led up to that? Are you serious about existence? Like, okay, there's a backstory with Barry. So like in the 2017 version, because I've watched it quite a few times, the 2017 version, what is the first real introduction that we get to Barry? Barry is inside going to see his father. They have a conversation. He does a quick drawing on a guy's face to give him glasses. Ha ha, Barry. No, there's a whole backstory there. Like the first time he meets Iris, him going to save her and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, where was this? Why was this cut? So I have like this weird thing with soundtracks. Sometimes I'll be listening to a soundtrack and I feel like if I could go and enter a figure skating championship to this soundtrack. That's just how it is. Music makes a movie. Or maybe not makes the movie, but it really helps. It's like, if it's a horrible movie, it's like the little bit of pepper sauce that you put over the food so that you can eat it. If it's a good movie, it's like that layer of icing on the cake that you just like, thank you very much. Danny Elfman's score for me was that icing slash pepper sauce. Danny Elfman is a guy who made the 90s Batman themes, and he made the TV, the Flash theme. And so Danny Elfman has been part of my childhood existence. You know, there's certain composers that when I hear they're taking over a project or involved in a project, I'm like, yes. If you feel like if the movie is long, some of the soundtracks just make it feel longer. Um, some of the scores, I should say, just make it feel longer. But that being said, there are one or two gems in there. Like when we meet Barry and Barry goes to do his the first time we see him running and stuff like that. There's a piano motif that plays, and there's a song that goes with it, and that song, I grew up in the house of DC, but I very much enjoy going to see a Marvel Studios movie. Marvel has a formula and they know how to get things, how to roll things out. The problem I have is that people think that Marvel is perfect and it's not. It's not. I have a comparison. I think of DC is like DC is a hot mess, and yes, everybody sees the mess in front of you, but Marvel may be that really cool restaurant that you absolutely love. The ambience is great, the food is really cool, you're loving the music that is playing, and then you see two cockroaches coming out of the kitchen and you're like, okay, what's happening here? I don't even get me started on the overwhelming amount of sugar. I don't need laughter in everything. I feel like one of the most ridiculous things that Marvel has done is like, I'm watching Doctor Strange. I'm enjoying Doctor Strange. I'm enjoying the mysticism and the everything about it. I don't need a whole backstory on trying to make Wong laugh and Wong listening to single ladies. When you told me that you are bringing in people to pump up the humor. I don't want it. On the other hand, a DC production, especially a Snyder related production, tends to be a little too dark and a little, like even in the color grading, I'm like, good grief, they have colors. Raise it up a little bit. I gotta say though, I'm tired. I just want to enjoy things and I want to enjoy them well. I want to see good stuff coming out of DC. I want to see good stuff coming out of Marvel. I feel like the risks that Marvel took with WandaVision, at least at the beginnings, because at the end it's a Marvel movie, I need to see more of that. And I want to end by throwing this out. I just find we live in a world where we're getting so much good content that we're still doing this whole versus BS, this versus nonsense. We're really doing it. Just go and enjoy good things. I am happy when something good comes out of DC because I love DC. And I have always blamed anything that has gone wrong in the DC universe strictly at the feet of Warner Brothers and by extension Kevin Tsujihara. Don't get me started on that. I feel that moving forward, Walter Hamada and his people are doing their very best to make sure that DC movie properties get their just desserts. So I am ready to see what comes next. I am ready for a fourth world film with Albert DuVernay and Tom King. Um, I'm ready for Shazam 2. I'm ready to see where Patty Jenkins takes me next for the next Wonder Woman. I'm ready. Give me all the things from both houses. Kids, 4 hours really isn't that long. This is why you don't have a good sex life. I may edit that out or I may leave it in just so that to provoke you people. But I'm saying 4 hours isn't that long. Okay, fine. 4 hours is long. But I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, I feel like maybe we as a TV consuming audience needs to reframe our thinking when it comes to the things that we watch. Because when Netflix gives you 8 hours of a show, it's 8 episodes. 8 episodes, 1 hour long episodes, 8 hours. And we sit and we watch all 8 hours and we enjoy a binge. But when you hear Martin Scorsese has a film and it's long, or you hear Infinity War and Endgame will be the longest films ever because it's close to 3 hours. Oh my god, will we be able to pee? And so when Snyder comes out with his 4 hour cut, it's actually maybe a little more than 4 hours. Everybody loses their minds. Please. I feel like you should watch it just so that you can have a cathartic moment and like, oh my god, it's over, it's done. Like I keep singing and saying, it's done, we can move on. But you can also watch it to see what the whole story was meant to be. I'm also going to say something slightly controversial. Or not. Just maybe disappointing on a lot of levels. But what turned out for 2017's Justice League, I'm not blaming him. I blame studios. I know what it's like when somebody has written and done an entire campaign or whatever, and then like for me, I got called in to rewrite and amp it up because the client and the people involved in the project didn't think that they hit the mark just yet. So I had to now come in there and fix that and amp it up. So I'm not mad at Joss who had to come in now and make it lighter and put jokes and all that kind of stuff because his studios had their own thought process. And finally, just because you managed to get hashtag release the Snyder cut does not mean to say that I need to see now hashtag release the Ayer cut or release the JJ cut or release everybody blasted cut. No. I want us to move on and move forward. So there it is, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I feel like we finally united the seven. or unite the League, although there is 7. Haha. And in a way, I'm kind of wistful about what could have been, because the way how the story ended, you knew that part 2 of the Justice League was going to be intense. I was going to be something. I kind of missed that. I kind of wish I had that. Oh well, move forward. So that's my review in 6 parts and an epilogue. Be safe, be well, laters.
It's time to stand, fight. The time is now.